Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment requires it's the Office of Actuarial Services within the Employment Security Department to issue a report in the event that it looks like the paid family medical leave program is running into deficit 1 quarter out. In the coming quarter, there won't be sufficient revenue to cover the cost of the program. This is an important amendment, Mr. Speaker, for this reason. We are looking in the underlying proposal at a massive expansion of this program. And the program is already looking at financial distress, some deficit ahead. Currently, it looks pretty bad. If this underlying proposal is adopted into law, it's going to accelerate, in my opinion, the financial trouble of the program. And this is a bad thing, Mr. Speaker, because people seem to like the program. So we're taking a program that's heading for a little bit of trouble, and we're going to put it on turbocharge, rushing off the cliff into financial red ink. So if we adopt this amendment, we will put into place a mechanism by which the actuaries can make a reasonable projection, kind of like our budget projections, that this exactly what the trouble will be in the, I would say, near to mid future for the program. This is important additionally, Mr. Speaker, because we know that some of the bureaucratic agencies involved in the administration of this program don't have the best fiscal record. Particularly ESD, as you and I both know, sent a lot of money to Nigeria during COVID. And that was an embarrassment and a financial hit for this taxpayers of this state. So let's vote yes on the amendment. Let's put in place a system by which we can predict with some certainty, actuarial certainty, how much trouble the massive expansion of the program will cause to the program's fiscal solvency. Please vote yes on this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good amendment. Please vote yes. Mr. Speaker, one of the things that we need to do in the underlying policy and in our thinking about the paid family medical leave program in general is find greater efficiencies. Mr. Speaker, although the program does seem to be popular, it is already facing solvency problems. And there's going to be a need, really, whether or not the underlying bill passes with its expansions of the benefits and likely greater stress financially on the program, there's going to be a need to look for ways to streamline and make more efficient the program, which we will try to keep in place and try to keep solvent. What this amendment does, and the reason why you should vote yes on it, is it begins a process of finding efficiencies and how we can deliver these benefits to people without running the program into deep red ink. So it's a good amendment. We're probably going to need more reforms of the program like what this amendment would do going forward to keep the program solvent. So it's really kind of a first step. Please vote yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good amendment. Please vote yes. Mr. Speaker, I've spoken before in these kinds of contexts about Chesterton's fence. The philosopher G.K. Chesterton wrote that when you see a fence in a field, before you tear it down, you should understand why the fence is there. The 50 employee threshold for the Paid Family Medical Leave Act is Chesterton's fence. It's there for a reason. And the reason, Mr. Speaker, is that holding a job open for an employee who's gone on extended leave, for a small business, forget 10 employees, that may employ 3 employees, can be devastating to that business. And it's not that the job won't still be there when the person comes back from the extended leave. It's that the business may not be there when the person is done with the extended leave. Now, when we put this program, the paid family medical leave program in place, there was a lot of work that went into that. And the threshold of 50 employees was something that was negotiated conscientiously. And I think that is a good threshold. It doesn't matter whether this is the heart and soul or spleen and lungs of the underlying policy. The point is holding very small companies to standard of this program will be devastating to them. We don't need to change the threshold, Mr. Speaker. Remember Chesterton's fence and vote yes on this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good amendment. Please vote yes. I could do the Chesterton's fence thing again, Mr. Speaker, but I won't. The key issue here, Mr. Speaker, is what is the nature of the paid family medical leave program? Is it a fringe benefit of working a job? Or is it a benefit program for anyone to use? When we first discussed this program several years ago, the supporters pitched it as a fringe benefit of employment. And that's probably, in my opinion, the best way to look at the program. Now we seem to be making it expanded and so much broader that it isn't just a fringe benefit of working a full-time job. Now it is more like a social welfare program that people deserve, even if they're only working part-time. This is more than just a fiscal issue. I think this is a deep policy, a pure policy issue. What is this program? Is it a fringe benefit to employment, or is it a social welfare program? As long as it's a fringe benefit of employment, it makes a certain amount of sense. If we blow it up into something much bigger and much broader and much deeper and much, much, much more expensive, then we're changing the nature of what it is. And if I'm not going to talk about G.K. Chesterton, Mr. Speaker, I'll talk to you about Marcus Aurelius. The first question you should always ask yourself is, what is the nature of the thing? And the nature of this thing, of this program, is a fringe benefit of employment, not a social welfare program. In many ways, this amendment could be the most significant amendment we're considering. Please vote yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good amendment. Vote yes. The amendment is a bit of a combination of the last several amendments. It broadly allows companies with fewer than 20 employees to opt out and people with fewer than 50 to opt out in certain circumstances. It is a small business protecting amendment, but Mr. Speaker, I would say to you, it's a beneficiary protecting amendment. Mr. Speaker, the challenge we face with the Paid Family and Medical Leave Act is it's insolvent, and it's heading to greater insolvency. And just as we've spoken that a small business that's gone doesn't have any jobs to offer, a benefit program that's deeply insolvent has no benefits to offer its beneficiaries. We need to tighten the program, at least from the expansion in the underlying proposal, or it's going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the red. And yes, at some point it will begin to pull substantial money out of the general fund. I mean, what are we going to do? It's getting more and more insolvent the larger we make it. So this amendment doesn't just protect small businesses. It protects the people relying on the program from the program going broke. Please vote yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is an important amendment. Please vote yes. Mr. Speaker, the department which oversees this program has been plagued by inefficiency and bad management. Mr. Speaker, we've spoken before about the trouble it's had with bad management and wrong payments and gullibility and inefficiency. Mr. Speaker, this department, of any department in our state bureaucratic system, needs to have checks and balances. Mr. Speaker, the program in question is already looking at a $200 million deficit, and that's before the expansions anticipated by the underlying policy. This is a recipe for bad service for the people who need this program. The private right of action is an essential tool for checking the inefficiencies and bad management that have plagued this department. Mr. Speaker, this amendment is appropriate to keeping this department, this bureaucratic agency, on track, and all of the people who are frustrated with the money that was sent to Nigeria, with the millions that have been lost, with the hundreds of millions that are projected to be in deficit. This amendment gives those people a mechanism, a voice, a tool for keeping this bureaucracy on track. It's essential, Mr. Speaker. Really, it is the most necessary among the various agencies of the state government. Please vote yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Another good amendment. Please vote yes. Mr. Speaker, we've heard on this floor talk of the right to access the benefits in the underlying program. But we've also heard testimony earlier in the public hearings on this proposal, and many of us have heard it directly from our constituents, that that right can't be exercised because there literally aren't enough present staff at the bureaucratic agency that runs the program to answer questions and help complete applications. Well, we can't talk about a right to access a benefit and then allow the bureaucratic agency in charge of the program to not have enough bodies present to allow people to exercise that right. If we're going to treat this as a right, we need to provide the manpower and woman power to actually allow people to exercise the right. We are about to expand this program, if the underlying proposal passes, substantially, massively. And we're having trouble implementing the program even before that massive expansion. Mr. Speaker, if we're going to do this in a way that is efficient and effective for the beneficiaries of the program, we need to make sure the program's working now before we expand it substantially. This is a common sense amendment. It will make sure that the bureaucratic agency running the program can walk before we ask it to run. Please vote yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bad bill, vote no. Mr. Speaker, a few years ago, when we created our state's paid family and medical leave program, it was a carefully negotiated proposal that ended up having bipartisan support. We did limit the scope of the program, Mr. Speaker, and rightly so, because it is a generous program. And it is a program, frankly, that small employers can't practically offer their employees. Mr. Speaker, it has been popular with those workers who can qualify for it, who work at companies or have the type of job, full-time job, that qualifies for it. And that's a good thing. But, Mr. Speaker, the finances, the money, the actuarial structure of the program, as it is, even without this underlying expansion, is troubling. The program is headed, as you've heard, for a $200 million shortfall. Now, Mr. Speaker, we ought to be focused on fixing that looming crisis. But rather than focusing on fixing that looming crisis, we're considering a massive expansion of the program that's looking at massive red ink. Mr. Speaker, it's a popular program and we're going to ruin it because it's going to become epically insolvent. And this benefit that is popular and well-liked by people is going to be endangered because it's insolvent. Let's fix the first problem first, Mr. Speaker. Let's put this proposed massive expansion of the program aside and fix what's broken first. And then we can talk about expanding the program. And last, Mr. Speaker, when you vote no, keep in mind that this is designed to be a fringe benefit, not a social benefit program. Let's keep it focused, let's keep it solvent, and let's let it remain popular with the people who can use it. Vote no on the massive expansion. Thank you.